Hello, my name is Aaron Babcock. Welcome back to my channel. Please like and subscribe if you like these videos. So, these books are of poetic fiction, and it's of 2 videos. This is part 1, and then I'll do part 2. And basically, we have the historical poets like Mark Twain. These are some early 1900s books of his, originals. And we have Huckleberry Finn and some more up-to-date Mark Twain. And then we have, which is not poetic fiction, but it's important, is the history of the English language and English words. And those are from 1890, those 2 books. And it's really important that we know the background to American history with the English language so we can understand it even better. So there's Moby Dick. That's a popular classic of poetry. So some of our world history lovers out there, the Nibelungs were a group of, there was some poetic adventures in 1100 AD in Germany near the Rhine River and the Elbe. And so mythology was also part of like the Poetic Eddas in Norse mythology and German, and basically Norse are kind of North Germans. My grandmother came from Norway in the early 1900s, and she gave me this book before she passed away called Norse Stories. And there's a lot of these stories here of Norse mythology. So my sister's Norwegian as well as her husband is, and that's all like on Odin and Thor. It's really comparable to the Bible in a lot of ways. I think the truth behind mythology is the psychology of what they believed. Even though there was a lot of symbolisms, like Thor and the hammer, reshaping the world with his hammer, where you have Jesus and the carpenter's hammer is very symbolic of building and construction. And Odin was sacrificed upside down to gain the knowledge of the runes. And we have a lot of sacrificial stories that are comparable, like Osiris, that sacrifice down the Nile, in Egyptian mythology and history. And then we have Bible history with Jesus and his sacrifice, and other countries out there. So we have William Shakespeare, who did some poetry and plays and theater inspiration. Edgar Allan Poe was a great American history poet of the 1800s. And we have the Greeks. A lot of our patriotic Americans, and, people that don't know about patriotism, they all loved a lot of Greek poetry as well, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. These were adventures that were near the Mediterranean Sea. And in the 1700s, we have Phyllis Wheatley, who was a slave girl who wrote poetry to the newspapers, and a lot of our forefathers read her works as well. We have Jack and Jill, and everyone knows that story. There's a rhyme to it. Jack and Jill went up the hill, yada yada. And a lot of kids get into that story on rhymes. And we know that in American history, like the hip-hop rap community does a lot of rhymes with their raps and hip-hop. And I remember Run DMC, before the cuss word rap came out in 1988, there was no cussing, and it was all rhymes. And Run DMC did a good job of keeping that clean. And I think all that can root back to a lot of this poetry that had some rhymes and the writing styles. And the Jack and Jill book has a great writing style, just like Edgar Allan Poe's writing style and Shakespeare. So we have Black Beauty. This was a classic it was not just a movie, but a book like this for a lot of young people in the early 1900s. And this is a history of horses across the world. This is a nonfiction, but I figured I would throw that into Patriotic American history because a lot of patriots rode horses, and you can just use your imagination on that. And Black Beauty was a nice inspirational story on that subject. So we also have Treasure Island. There's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Swiss Family Robinson. There's a whole bunch of classics out there, but mainly this is poetic fiction and a little nonfiction. But my sister, who gave me these Norse mythology books here and this German mythology book, she wrote some books that was, to me, very poetic in fiction with some world history, realistic places. So she kind of blended some fiction and nonfiction together, and I think they're really good books, and I will promote those in the second video and show you how you can take a look at those books sometime and purchase if you like. So anyway, this is a nice variety of poetic fiction classics and theater, and I think what's missing in some of our public schools is like the Revolutionary War theater for kids, and the Sons of Liberty theaters. We have Alexander Hamilton on Broadway. That's a great theater presentation, but I think we could have more, and I think the children would have a lot of fun doing the Revolutionary War theaters, just like the First Ladies would be a really good theater, and then maybe I'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, I think we can do a lot of more theater to honor our forefathers in American history, and they all like to read these types of fiction books and nonfiction, like Common Sense by Thomas Paine and what have you. So anyway, it's all part of American history. You can always expand your library on fiction, but don't ever forget about nonfiction reality, and it's good to have a good balance in the mind for reality and imagination. So take care and God bless. Please like and subscribe if you like these videos, and I hope you enjoy part 2 to this poetic fiction. Thank you very much.